This is not boding well for my computer in general. How many of you guys have all your work backed up? Me too. Hallelujah. Okay. Well, I shouldn't really count my chickens before they hatch. All right. With this, make sure there's a video going, guys. I'm pretty sure there is. Yep. Okay. With this loaded, there's a couple of options that we need to deal with before we even get into this. So for all of those who already are using monitor calibration and profiling, there's a couple of other things that you may not know about that you need to know about to make sure that they are doing. So the first place we're going to start is actually not in this. The first place we're going to start is in system preferences. So if everybody will do this with me, at least you'll know where it is. To get to system preferences, go to the Apple menu, come down to system preferences, and the first place we're going to go to is displays. So with displays opened up for this, you'll see in my case I have two of them. One is for my laptop and the other is for this projector. So I'm only going to do the work on my laptop. You should only have one unless you're connected to an external monitor. However, under display, the number one most important thing you can uncheck is this. Automatically adjust brightness. You do not want that to happen, because what this means is that as the room gets darker, it uses the camera in your computer, in your laptop, to measure the ambient light, and as the room gets darker, it will actually raise and lower the light depending on the light level in the room, and that will completely disqualify your profile. You've got to make your profile we are eliminating all the variables right now. This is a variable you need to eliminate. The next one that's over is night shift. You need to click on that, and you need to make sure that this is also turned off. What this thing will actually do is it actually changes the color of your monitor as the day goes on. So as you start to move into the evening, it actually starts removing blue from your monitor to make it easier on your eyes. Again, that will completely defeat the profile. If you've done that, click on the icon that's got all the little dots on it to get back to all the other possible profiles and go to accessibility. If you click on accessibility, this guy will open up, and then you also want to click on display. And in display here, you need a couple of settings to make sure that they are only this way. Your display contrast has to be at normal. If it's anything other than normal, you will have, you're in the Wild West. You will hate your life. Nothing will actually work well for you. You also want to enable this reduced transparency. Most of you guys know that the screens that you have in a Macintosh will actually go transparent, and they will allow you to see what's behind them. That's not something that will function well in a profiling situation, because it'll be showing something that's actually on behind it. So at any rate, those are the things that I would actually set up here in this part to begin with. Then back into the i1 profiler, I would say click on the basic adjustment right here. If you really know what you're doing, you can get into the advanced thing, but usually advanced gets people in more trouble than not. I am going to select display profiling, and you'll see when I select that, it gives me two options. One is my monitor right here. The other is that projector. I'm going to stick with my monitor. Again, in your case, when you're running this, if you don't have multiple monitors or multiple outputs set up, you'll only have one of these. In terms of the drop-down menu, unless you really have something special here, like you've got the $100,000 Macintosh Expedition Excel model Platinum Diamond version that was made with an OLED screen, you want to leave this exactly the way it is. For the white point in this, you want to select D65. 10 years ago, there was a lot of debate about this. In the US, people used to set these at D50. All of Europe has been D65. Actually, all of Asia as well has been at D65 forever. The US finally caught up. What this basically is talking about is the white point. D65 stands for 6,500 degrees Kelvin, daylight. That's what this actually stands for. This luminance value right here, this is the brightness of your monitor. This is what we need to actually control. Most of you guys are working on a monitor that's way, way, way too bright. How many people in here, when you're printing, are having trouble that your prints are coming out dark? Oh, admit it, everybody does. No? None of you?
At first.
At first, and now not?
Well, no.
Okay. The reason most of you guys have dark prints is because you've got the brightness on your monitor up too high. And looking at a too bright monitor, you actually make your image darker because your monitor is too bright. And then when you print it out, your prints are too dark. I'm going to set my brightness of my monitor at 120 candelas per squared meter. The real range that you want to find in here is between 120 and 140. Some people will say you could go as high as 160. I would discourage you from doing that, but I certainly wouldn't go under 120. People will also tell you to go under 120 because they're cheap and they want your computer to last longer. Don't waste your time. Anyway, the reason we are doing the brightness here at that setting is it will most closely resemble a print output. So what we're trying to do is get this to actually show you what you're going to get in a print. The tone response curve down here you can leave at standard. The real issue that this thing will change is this gamma setting. The gamma setting is the contrast of your monitor, and you want to leave it at a 2.2. Again, this is a standard that is universal now. However, the next thing you want to uncheck here, again, they give you another option to do it, to adjust the profile based on ambient light. You want to make sure that that is unchecked. Again, you do not want to introduce a variable. This is just another case where your computer will use its camera to measure the available light in the room and set yours accordingly to that. So with this part set up like this, you can click on the next button. And going to the next button here, it's sort of hard to see, so I'm going to make this scroll down just a little bit. There's a start measurement part right down here that we need to get to. If you are doing a laptop like this, you definitely want to enable this adjust brightness, contrast, and RGB gains manually. You want to check this. If you're working on an extremely high-end monitor, is anybody in this room working on a high-end external monitor, an Azio, a BenQ, an NEC, any of that? All of those allow for internal hardware calibration. If you are using those, that is what this automatically display control is about. If you're using it, you know about it. If you're not, you don't want to check this. You definitely want to check the one down here to adjust the brightness gains manually. Then come over here and click on Start Measurement. When you do that, hopefully it's going to communicate with your puck. And it does, and it starts to blink here. And everybody look up here if you've never used one of these before, because this is the only tricky part. It's showing you what to do in here. There's a protective cover on this. You need to pull up on this to release the protective cover, and then it will spin around out of the way, and it will reveal this clear lens. This is what you need to reveal to actually do the measurements on this. You will then also see a warning on here saying, it's better if you tilt your screen backward. And the reason you want to do this is that we are going to drape this puck on this screen, and by tilting it backwards, you ensure contact. If the screen is perfectly upright, the puck can actually drift off the front of it, and it will screw up your measurement. There's also a counterweight that's on the cord right back behind this. You can use this counterweight to slide up and down so that the counterweight sits behind your screen and holds this thing in place. So then you put this thing on your screen like this. It's now ready to go. I can say OK to this, and then I'm going to click on Next. And then you need to grab your phone and turn on your camera. I'm just getting ahead of ourselves. So I got my phone. I'm going to go to my camera. So the first thing that's going to happen is this. Again, we said we wanted it to adjust the brightness of our monitor. You can see right here that my target luminance was 120. My monitor is measuring at a 305 right now. That means my monitor is 3 times brighter than it should be. You can't edit if that's the case. You will never get your prints to look like your screen, ever, in this situation. So to change this, you have to use the brightness controls on your computer, the little 2 suns that are at the very top. So if you look at the very top row of your computer, there's a little sun and then there's a bigger sun. The bigger sun makes your screen brighter, the little sun makes it darker. How scientific is that? So I'm going to hit the little sun once, and you'll see my screen gets darker, and it measures it right away. It says, okay, you're down to a 253, not there yet. I'm going to hit the little guy again. Now I'm down to a 208, hit the little guy again. My screen is getting darker every time it remeasures. It's automatically measuring right now. I'm going to continue to work my way down. Now I'm at a 136. This, in my case, would be in my range, but I'm going to see if I can get closer. If I hit one more down, I get to a 103. That's too far down. So I'm going to go back up again. If you were happy with the 136, that's fine. If you want finer degrees of adjustment, you hold down the Shift key and the Option key, and then you hit the brighter or less bright version, and it will do it in 1/10 of an increment of the normal brightness. So you can see now I just went down to a 130. I'm going to again hold down Shift Option and make it a little bit darker. And now I'm down to a 121. I'm within 1 candela of this. Your human eye cannot make that distinction between those two. This is at a 123. This would be as close as I can get. I'm perfect. The problem is, though, I don't know how bright my monitor is right now. There's no way for me to then know how bright it really is. So what you do is, and I'm sorry, this is so janky, but it works. Get your phone, go to the camera app, hold it in your hand with your thumb on the little thing, ready to take a picture of your screen. Then you want to click once to make your screen brighter. This is now the wrong setting, but then again to make it darker and shoot a picture of your screen really quick. Then you have a picture of how many of those little spaces were actually on your phone. Again, in this case, I was doing those micro adjustments. So again, I would have to go back up to the one that's actually correct. And again, you've got to go to a wrong setting so that you can come back to the correct one so that you can take a photograph of that little brightness icon. Does that make sense, everybody, what I'm talking about here? And then you simply count up the bars. Are we good on that part? All right, I know, it's janky, but it's the only way it works. And then finally hit next. Guys, we got 5 minutes. We're going to get through this part, and we will deal with print profiling next week. So now what's happening is that this thing is kicking out a series of colors for me. The colors are actually in software. It's just like this scenario that we've got on our board up here. It's kicking out known colors right now. Well, actually, the very first thing it's trying to do is it's trying to get to that white point of a D65 and a contrast of 2.2. So that's the first pass that it has here. The white point really establishes color casting in here. So that's where it's going after to begin with. Then it's going to do the profiling part of this. And the profiling part is exactly what we were talking about right here. The software is kicking out colors that are known. The puck is measuring them, and it's determining the bias that exists here. And it's developing this table, this profile to make that correction. And then finally, it's going to plug that profile in, and it's going to run these colors again, and it's going to verify them to make sure that indeed this equals that, or this equals that. Does that make sense, everyone? All right, so I'm going to let this go. How often should you profile? Say what? Once a month. Anybody else? Weekly. Anybody else?
If you're shooting, if you're editing something that depends on it, do it right before.
Yes.
So besides that, like monthly.
Yeah. So that would be how I would approach this. If you're constantly doing color work, weekly almost works. But the truth of it is, if you are doing serious color work, you should be profiling that morning. If you are doing email for a month, you don't really need a color profiled monitor. Who cares if your email is not going to be off color, right? So that's when it really matters. I know I've told a lot of people in this room all this, but I will tell the rest of you this right now. If you work for Disney Pixar and you do not calibrate your monitor in the morning, you are automatically fired. They don't give you a reprimand. They don't say 1 strike, but you get 2 more. They don't say any of that, whatever. You're just out. You lose your job. Because in their case, the problem that they have is that any mistake that's made anywhere in their chain continues in their chain until somebody picks it up. And in their case, imagine you're the last in line before you send, some, hours worth of film to the rendering farm. And it goes to the rendering farm, and it's there for a month, and it only costs, $100 million of rendering, and you fucked it up. They just don't tolerate it. They don't tolerate it. They don't add, there's like zero tolerance for this. So you calibrate when it becomes important for you to do your color correction and your tonal correction. And now for me, I do a lot of compositing work. I'm not necessarily concerned about if I can spot in a monitor that is off color, I can spot that the edge of my compositing needs work, that it needs to be refined. I can spot the fact that something is out of place. I can spot that the perspective is off. I can spot all those things. That's not when I'm worried. What I'm worried about when I do my calibration stuff is when I need to do final color and I need to do final tone and I'm getting ready to print. That's when I really care about it. And if you're going to do that more than one day, you calibrate both days. You calibrate every single day. Color matters to you. So this is finishing up the processing part right here. We're almost out of here, kids, but I've got to show you what this looks like. So guys, so far, are there any questions about anything we've gone through today? Are we good on this part? Do you have any ideas where you think you may be going with portfolio things? Maybe? All right, so the one thing that we never got to, which we are going to also do next week, is your branding statements and your elevator pitches. So please have them up. Get them up there today or tomorrow, because I'm going to grade this soon, and otherwise you're going to be late, and we are going to look at them next week. Maddie?
Say like we already turned them in, but can we go back and resubmit them?
Oh, of course you can. Of course you can. And if there's, for some reason you have trouble with that, just let me know, and I'll throw away the one that's already up there, whatever. But no, you're more than welcome to revise this and continue to revise it. Okay. Okay, so wait, everybody look really quick. Look really quick. So it's gone through the whole process. It says, okay, spin this guy back around. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm spinning it back around. And it's just going to say set it down. And I'm going to set it down. And then I'm going to click on next. And it's going to say, okay, do you want to save this guy? And I'm going to say, yes, I want to save this guy. I want everybody to look at this screen and look what happened. If you look at the top of the screen right here, at the top of every one of these color patches, this is the color that was asked for. This is what my monitor gave it. How on earth can you do color correction work for your files when you are being lied to this badly? Look at this. These are not even remotely close. Honesty, lie. So now this part has actually, we're good to go on that. So I'm going to click next again, and I'm going to save the profile. You want to save your profile with something that has a meaningful name. So for me, it's going to be MacBook, MBP, MacBook Pro, underscore VER, underscore, what's today's date? 0916, I'm sorry, wrong way. 20190916, and I'm going to go ahead and save this profile. It's going to say it was successfully saved. I need everybody to come over here now because you can't see it on this screen. You got to look at my monitor. You looking on the screen, you see the projector. You don't see what has really changed here. So to see what it looks like, what we really just did, go up to the Apple menu, down to System Preferences, down to Displays, to Color, again for this display, not that guy over there. This color LCD at the very top, this is what Apple uses when they ship this. So this is what it looks like shipped. Any difference? Yeah, so today is 1/6. This is what we just made. So profiled, not profiled. Profiled, not. Are you kidding me? How the fuck can you color correct when it's this far off? So guys, this just isn't an option anymore in your lives. You guys have left that boat has been left behind. And I'm going to ask you to hang on just 1 second while I turn this off.